Welcome back. Welcome back to the pod, baby. Welcome to episode 45 of the LOM podcast. I'm your host, Jay Lyons, which you should know by now. 45 episodes in, you should know who the host is. What if just like one day I just like switch it up, just like have a different person host and just like don't even acknowledge it. Just act like everything's fine. Like, don't even say, oh, Jay couldn't make it, so I'm filling in. Just like, no, just like as if it's like normal. And then just go back to me being the host the episode after. And everyone's like, what was that all about? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been doing all the episodes. Anyways, welcome back to the LOM podcast. It's after Christmas now. It's kind of crazy. Honestly, like, this year was like weird when it came to Christmas. Like, I'm having deja vu because I feel like I've talked about this before, but there's no way I could have because this happened on Christmas Day. So I don't know. I just be having podcast episodes in my head, I guess. But yeah, Christmas Day, my friend asked me if I could drive him back home because his car broke down. And so, me being the kind, generous, giving person that I am, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll drive you home. So, I'm driving home and, we're talking and we're like, dude, this year was so weird. Like, it didn't even feel like it was Christmas Day, honestly. Like, we're driving, we're like, this doesn't feel like Christmas. It just seemed like not a lot of places decorated, And I went to Disney this past week. And I'll get more into that in a little bit, but like even Disney was like barely decorated. Have I talked? I couldn't have talked. I feel like I've talked about this before. I don't know why. I'm having like deja vu. I feel like I've talked about this before, but I couldn't have. I don't know. This is weird. I'll just roll with it. If I've talked about this before, then hey, we're getting the exact same episode. So yeah, not a lot of places decorated this year. It just seemed like, maybe it's been the same amount that have always decorated, but I don't know. There just wasn't a whole lot of like Christmas spirit. Like I listened to Christmas music a little bit throughout the season. Actually, I listened to it a lot, but like, there's some days where I'm just like, I'm not in the mood to listen to Christmas music. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, I just want to go back to listening to my regular music. But yeah, Christmas came, and I hope you guys had a great Christmas. I had a pretty nice Christmas, celebrated it with my fam, got some gifts, So, and, dinner was obviously amazing. Christmas dinner is always awesome. It's usually like ham that you have for Christmas, but we had turkey. It seems like we've been having turkey for the past few years, at least my family. Like we used to have ham every year. But like, I guess we're really into turkey now, But yeah, also like what we're talking about was it seemed like Thanksgiving got more hype than Christmas did. It seemed like everyone was like excited for Thanksgiving and like even on Thanksgiving Day, because like Christmas is like another really big dinner, and like on Thanksgiving, like when it came for Thanksgiving dinner, everyone's like posting like their dishes on Twitter, Some of them looked really good, and some of them were just like, I don't even know how you made that, let alone eat it. How did you even make that? There's like some shit where like it looks so gross. I'm like, dude, that's actually a skill to make food look that bad. Like, were you going for that? Like, dude, there was like this one person that like they posted their Thanksgiving dinner, and like it all looked bad, but like the thing that stuck out the most was they had like these. Like they weren't even black beans. They were like light gray beans. Like they looked like stones. And I'm like, dude, how do you eat that? A lot of people were dragging that photo like all over Twitter. Everyone's like, oh my God, this looks horrible. Like a lot of people were going after some of the really bad looking dishes, which rightfully so. Like how do you take a picture of that and like post it, But also part of the problem is that food doesn't really translate well in photos. Like you could look at a dish right in front of you in real life and be like, damn, that looks good. But when you take a photo, you're like, okay, that does not look good, you know? But I mean, I'm not saying that this is the case for this photo because I mean, there was there was nothing you could do to convince me that this dish, like with the beans and shit, like you can't convince me that it looked good in real life, you know? Because like it's not like drastic, you know? It's not like you take a photo of like a really good slice of pizza and then when you take a photo of it, it looks like it's been, you know, out in the sun for like 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like it's not that drastic. Like it just doesn't look as good as it does in real life. So like I said, there's nothing that you could do to convince me that this guy's dish was actually good, you know? But anyways, yeah, this past week I went to Disney and I haven't been to Disney in years. You know, I think the last time I went to Disney was, I don't know, like 5th grade or something like that. We went to Epcot. And that was the first time I had been to Disney in years. Like that time I went in 5th grade. You know, because like I used to go to Disney like all the time as like a kid, and I barely remember shit from Disney. Like, yeah, obviously there's like a lot of stuff I remember, but there's also a lot of stuff I don't. And I mean, one of my favorite times a year to go to Disney as a kid was during Christmas. You know, like they were all decorated. You know, they would like give out hot chocolate and like cookies and shit. Now, for some reason, I remember they were free, but I guarantee they weren't. I mean, nothing's free. So you probably had to pay for it. As a kid, I didn't pay for it. So like, I didn't really notice. But anyways, like one of my favorite things to do like during Christmas at Disney was go see like the Osborne family lights, which if you don't know what that is, in one of Disney's parks, MGM Studios, well, I mean, it's not called Hollywood Studios, but you know, when I was a kid, it was MGM. At the MGM Studios, it was supposed to be like the whole point of the park was that it was supposed to be like a working set. You know, it was supposed to show you the magic of making movies and shit like that. You know, so they had this one section of the park that was called Streets of America, and it was basically just like facades of buildings to make it look like a city, you know, because it's supposed to be like, oh, this is a set of a city for a movie or a TV show or whatever it is. And during Christmas, and this was like a huge area, and during Christmas, they put like a shit ton of Christmas lights all over the buildings. I mean, these are like 4 or 5 story buildings, right? And there's like lights all over them. There's like lights, you know, hanging from, you know, on like strings between the buildings and shit like that. And they just had like a shit ton of lights everywhere. And at night, when all the lights were on, they would have like a show where they would play Christmas music and the lights would, you know, flash or blink or whatever it is in time with the music, you know. And it was like this great show, and it was like one of my favorite things to do during Christmas, because you know, you get a hot chocolate and you get a cookie, you know, you watch this light show. I mean, come on, that was awesome. But then they got rid of it. Back in like 2015, and they replaced it with Galaxy's Edge. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, but Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is awesome. And like, hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, I hadn't been to MGM Studios since I was really little. And back when I was little, you know, we had shit like Lights, Motors, Action, Osborne Family Lights, you know, the Great Movie Ride, all that shit, right? It was my favorite park. When I came back this past time, there was a lot of shit that I remember that was really good. But, you know, Galaxy's Edge, I'm just like, honestly, I rather still have Streets of America and like Lights, Motors, Action, and even like the Backlot Tour, because that was another thing they got rid of. You know, like there was an entire huge section of the park that they just got rid of. And I'm like, but that's so much better than Galaxy's Edge, you know? I'm a big Star Wars fan, trust me. You know, Star Wars is like one of my favorite franchises. If not, it's my favorite franchise ever, you know? Like Star Trek, Harry Potter, MCU, that doesn't even come close, okay? Star Wars is like my thing. But like, I found myself walking through that area and I'm just like, I'd rather have the other shit. And like, don't even get me started on this stupid Mickey's Runaway Railway or whatever the fuck it's called, you know, that replaced the Great Movie Ride. I mean, I don't even know how you justify getting rid of the Great Movie Ride. And you know, when I heard they were getting rid of it and I heard what they were replacing it with, I automatically hated the ride And a lot of people are like, oh, but it's really good. It's really good. I'm like, I don't care. My favorite ride of all time, literally my favorite ride of all time was the Great Movie Ride, and they got rid of it. So like there's no ride could ever replace it, in my opinion. But I went on the ride with an open mind. I'll admit I had low expectations because I wanted to dislike the ride, and I got off the ride hating it even more than I did having not ridden it. Purely, like before, I purely didn't like it because it got rid of the Great Movie Ride. Then I went on the ride itself, and I'm like, oh my God, this ride is so much worse than I thought it was. Like people were saying, like, don't worry, it's good. I was going on the ride, I'm like, okay, where's the good part? There's probably some people who have been in the ride who are gonna like disagree with me. They're gonna be like, no, that ride's awesome. But no, it honestly wasn't. It was probably one of the more boring rides I've ever been on. Like, I'm trying to think of a boring ride at Disney. I mean, there's probably people who would come up with a lot. There's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, like they don't like It's a Small World. And I think it's because of the song. People think it's annoying or whatever. I kind of enjoy that ride, But I don't know. It's just that entire park, Hollywood Studios, is completely ruined for me, Because like the only shit that is still there that's like from my childhood that I enjoy is like Tower of Terror, the Rock and Roller Coaster, Indiana Jones, and Star Tours. And it's not even the original Star Tours, but hey, I went on the new one and I enjoyed it. I still thought it was pretty good, but I do kind of enjoy the old version better, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, But yeah, I mean that park is just ruined for me. So it's not even like my favorite park anymore. I don't even know what would be my favorite park now. I used to say Islands would be like my favorite, but like I don't know. I've been there so often now. It's just sort of like, yeah, it's Islands. It's still a good park. Don't get me wrong. I still love Islands of Adventure. Great park. But anyways, yeah. So we went to all 4 parks. It was like a 4-day trip. We went to one park for each day. First day we went to Epcot, and I love Epcot. They're redoing the whole Future World area, which kind of bums me out, but it does look kind of cool. But I do miss the old Future World area. But yeah, I mean, like Epcot is. I love Epcot. I talk to a lot of people and they think it's like boring because it's like an educational park, which yeah, it kind of is, but like I don't know, it's just I thoroughly enjoy the park, and they added Frozen to the park, and I've been on the ride. We didn't get to go this past time we went because like, dude, it was like 180 minutes the entire day, which I think is crazy. But I had been on the ride before. Okay, so I take it back. I'm just realizing that I did go to Epcot before 5th grade, or after 5th grade, I mean. I went to Epcot one time over the summer recently with a friend of mine, and that's when we went on the Frozen ride. And like, I gotta be honest, that Frozen ride is nothing special. It replaced the Maelstrom. Maelstrom was so much better, in my opinion. And this is probably just like nostalgia speaking. It's like, oh, I enjoy all the old shit because that's what I grew up with, right? But I don't know. It's just like some of the new shit that Disney's been coming out with, I'm just like, it's not really that good. Now, I will say Rise of the Resistance is a good ride. Okay, I went on Rise. Smuggler's Run was pretty good. I was kind of worried going on the ride. I wanted to be the pilot because it seems like the pilot has like the most fun, because if you don't know, in Smuggler's Run, it's like a 6-person cart, okay? And you got 2 people who fly. One person does up and down, the other person does left and right. And then you have like 2 gunners, obviously they shoot the guns, and then you have 2 engineers and they fix whatever's broken or something like that, or they shoot the harpoons, okay? And so I wanted to be a pilot because, that's got to be the most fun. And I was kind of worried that if I didn't get the pilot, I've heard that people have had bad experiences because people just don't know how to fly and they just like crash into everything and it's just not a fun ride. So I was kind of worried about that going on the ride. But, I got to say, my pilots were pretty okay. We crashed into a few things, but for the most part, they were pretty good. Because I always wondered, I'm like, dude, how do you even like crash that often? Like, yeah, I know one person does up and down and one person does left and right. But I mean, like, we're all looking at the same screen. It's all happening at the same time. So, like, if you see the ship veering to the left and you're the left and right guy, just tilt the wheel to the right, And it's same for up and down. If you see it going up and you need to go down, just tilt it down. You know what I mean? Like the only way for you to like crash as much as you do is if you have like a literal 2-year-old flying the ship and they have no concept of direction, right? And they don't know what's going on, Or if you have someone who just intentionally wants to crash into everything. But there's like no way you could be flying this thing and just like accidentally crash the entire time, Like I said, it's just like common sense, dude. If you're the left and right person, if you see it going right and you need to be going left, just turn left, Anyways, I forgot to I thought I was supposed to mention this at the beginning, but I finally got the cookies and eggnog that I was supposed to have, I believe is the last episode, We finally made more cookies and we got more eggnog just in time for after Christmas, But yeah, I mean, I got the eggnog and the mousse, the mousse glass from the last time. Once again, it's from Christmas Vacation. So I was on Twitter and somebody was like saying, oh, one of these Christmas movies has to go. And I think it was like Elf, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, and then it was like the live action How the Grinch Stole Christmas, with Jim Carrey. Yeah. And they're like, one of these has to go. And honestly, I love all those movies. Wait, no, it wasn't Elf. It was A Christmas Story. That's what it was. It was A Christmas Story. I love all those movies, but I haven't really watched the entirety of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, like the live action. And even the parts I'd seen, like it's just sort of like an okay Christmas movie, in my opinion. It's kind of like weird and bizarre, which I guess maybe that's the point. But I would have said the Grinch one has to go, which I know is probably blasphemy for a lot of people. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. But this one guy was like, Christmas Vacation isn't even good. And I'm like, how do you say that? Like, I'm not saying How the Grinch Stole Christmas is bad. It just wasn't really my type of movie, But this guy was like, it's not even good. And I'm like, how do you say that? It's like one of the best Christmas movies ever. And you're like, you really, you can't deny that, Oh, but eggnog is good, dude. I don't understand the people who don't drink eggnog or don't like eggnog. Like, it's good. But yeah, I couldn't believe this guy was like, Christmas Vacation isn't good. I'm like, dude, you're wrong. He didn't even say which one. Well, I guess it would be Christmas Vacation would be the one he's getting rid of. But it's just like, I don't know. I mean, A Christmas Story is like a staple. I mean, that's the movie that, I don't even remember what channel it is, but there's like one channel that just plays A Christmas Story for the complete 24 hours of Christmas Day, So that's like a staple. You can't get rid of that, okay? Home Alone is a good movie. Is a good Christmas movie, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's like my top favorites. I mean, of Christmas movies, I think my top movies would probably be like Christmas Vacation, Elf, and I don't know, Christmas Story is pretty good. Home Alone is pretty good. Polar Express, you can't neglect Polar Express also. Christmas with the Cranks, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't like that movie, and I don't get it. I think it's pretty good. But I couldn't believe this guy was like, Christmas Vacation isn't good. I'm like, dude, come on. Of all the vacation movies, that's probably the best one. Vacation is also pretty good. Oh, but yeah, I didn't get to show you the cookies, but yeah, because like you can't see the cookies, but they're like these peanut butter cookies with like a little chocolate kiss in the middle. These cookies are amazing. Another Christmas cookie. I talked about Christmas cookies the last episode, for real, didn't I? I was about to start getting into Christmas cookies again, but I already talked about those, so we'll just bypass that. I didn't get to finish talking about Disney, so yeah, we went to Epcot. We went on the Ratatouille ride. Ratatouille was pretty good. The best part of Ratatouille, okay, is the smell. Like, oh my God. At the end of the ride, do people care about spoilers for rides? I just thought about that. Does anyone really care? I don't care. I'm spoiling it. At the end of the ride, you're like in the kitchen of Gusteau's, and they pump in a bunch of like fresh food smell. Like, I got a lot of bread vibe coming from that place, you know, but it's like an assortment of smells, and the food smelled so fucking good, dude. Like, I'm like, dude, just leave me in here. I just want to smell this food all fucking day long. You know what I mean? Like, it was so good. That was like the best part of the ride, you know? Other than that, it's sort of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Lack of a better term would be like, it's not special, you know? Unextraordinary, I think that's like the word I was looking for. There's really nothing like too amazing about it, you know? But like Rise of the Resistance is like the same concept, like the same ride system. But I think that one was pretty good, you know? Because they had a bunch of other features in it, you know, that made it feel a little bit more real. So Rise of the Resistance was pretty good. Okay, so one thing that was tripping me out from that ride, which I still don't know how they did this, is like the experience of the ride isn't like just the ride itself. It's also like the line. And, you know, you're like thinking probably pre-show, but like no. Like they actually have like a little mini ride before you get on the actual ride. So like you have this like pre-show thing, and they're like, oh, you need to go to the Star Destroyer because you got to help like the Resistance people. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, cool, that's great. I don't know why you're recruiting some random civilians, but okay. And you get on this transport ship, and what I was thinking was going to happen was like you enter in on one side, right? And like the ship takes off into space, and you have like this little battle, and then you get captured by one of the Star Destroyers, and they're like, okay, you know, you're going to jail or whatever it is, right? You're getting locked up because you're rebels or something. And so I thought what's going to happen was you enter in on one side of the ship, you have your little experience in this ship, and then you exit out the other end, and the other end will be like on the Star Destroyer, and it's supposed to make you feel like you actually transported from the planet you're on up into space on the Star Destroyer. But I'm not even kidding. We entered in one door, we had this little experience thing, and then we exit out of the same door. And we were like on ground level, and there was nothing above us because it was like an outside landing platform because it's a spaceship. And so I'm like, did we go underground? You know what I mean? Like it was, but at the same time we couldn't have, because in the ride I don't know. It's just like you go on the ride and then you just like exit out on ground level, and I'm like, where the fuck did we go when we were on that transport ship? Because I mean, obviously we didn't actually go to space, but where did we go in real life? Where did we go? I still have no idea where we went. I'm like, yeah, I got this shit figured out. And then we exit out the same door and we're in a completely different spot. I'm like, wait, what? Pardon? Where did we go? But that was probably the coolest part of Rise of the Resistance. Other than that, like the ride itself was pretty cool, but you know, once again, nothing too extraordinary. But yeah, we went to Hollywood the second day when we did Rise of the Resistance. Third day we did Animal Kingdom, and we went on the Avatar ride. Dude, the Avatar ride was crazy. Okay. We waited probably about like 45 minutes because like we rope dropped that ride, so we tried to get on there as fast as possible. So we waited like 45 minutes. I can't believe the people who waited like 3 or 4 hours for that ride. Because honestly, it's a really short ride. Like, there's nothing too special about it. It's kind of like Soarin'. A little more advanced than Soarin', but it's kind of like Soarin'. Like, you sit on a chair, you fly for a little bit, and then you land. Like, there's nothing too extraordinary about it. And so I'm like, I can't believe people waited 3 or 4 hours for this ride, ever. But it was pretty cool. The coolest part of that ride was like, so like you sit, if you know the movie Avatar, right? The whole idea is like you're a human and then you transfer like your consciousness sort of into an avatar body, and then you can control that body, So the idea is that you sit on this machine and then you get transported into this avatar, and then you ride one of those dragon fucking things from the ride, So the coolest part about that ride was while you're sitting there, you're supposed to feel like you're sitting on the dragon, and they got like this mechanism at like your knees or your legs. They were at my knees, but like it moves like you're on the animal and it's breathing, That was probably like the coolest part of the ride in my opinion. And you know me, because it was dragons we were flying around, I'm like calling my little dragon thing Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. I don't even know what the real things are called. I know they're not really dragons, but I'm just calling them dragons because that's really the only thing I could think of. But yeah, the ride was pretty cool. Once again, probably wouldn't wait any more than an hour for that ride. Even an hour is kind of extreme. 45 minutes was okay for that ride. We also went on the river ride or whatever that they had. That was pretty cool. I like more of the chill rides, Like, yeah, thrill rides are awesome. They're fun. But I also like the chill rides. That's why I like People Mover, in the Magic Kingdom. I like, Small World. You know what I mean? Haunted Mansion's pretty good. Just like the chill rides. Where you just relax, But yeah, we did the river ride. The river ride was pretty cool. My favorite was the safari ride, where you actually go out and see the actual animals. That was pretty awesome. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. Like, I just thought it was going to be like, yeah, we're going to see animals, which like is cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say like fuck animals or something like that. But I just mean like, I just thought it was going to be just like, yeah, we're going to see animals. Cause like, I've been to a zoo before and like, yeah, it's cool to see animals, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I thoroughly enjoyed the ride. I thought it was awesome seeing all the different animals that they had. Like they had flamingos and fucking elephants. They had lions, dude. Come on. My people. Jay Lions. Lions. But yeah, then we saw like there was like cheetahs. They had like rhinoceroses. I don't know if that's what it is. Maybe it's rhinoceri. I don't know. Hippopotami. Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't know a lot of plural words for animals. Hippopotamuses. Hippos. I'll just say hippos. We saw some hippos. We saw some rhinos. It's just much easier that way. But yeah, we saw a bunch of different birds and shit. We saw monkeys. I don't remember the breeds exactly, but we saw monkeys. We saw like these. They weren't hyenas, but they were like. I'm just gonna call them like African dogs because I don't remember what they're actually called, or African wolves. But they were a dog. They were canine. Those shits were pretty cute, but they're like. They are aggressive. They will eat the shit out of you. And I'm like, okay, they're cute from a distance, But yeah, the safari ride was awesome. That's sort of... Is that like its flagship ride? I'd say, actually, I think Animal Kingdom's flagship ride would be like Everest. That seems to be the one that everyone talks about. Or everyone really cares about. Which Everest was pretty fucking awesome. I had never been on Everest. Because I don't think I had been to Disney... I don't think I had been to the Animal Kingdom when Everest was around. I think we had stopped going to Disney before Everest came out. So, Yeah, so I finally was able to go on Everest. That ride was awesome. We saw the Lion King show. That was pretty cool. What other rides are at Animal Kingdom? Oh my God. Okay, so like the dinosaur ride. So like I had been on the dinosaur ride before because it's been there for a long time. And like when I was a kid, I loved dinosaurs. Like what little boy doesn't like dinosaurs? That seems to just be like a generic thing. Cars and dinosaurs. That's like, but yeah. So it's based off. It's like kind of based off the movie Dinosaur, and just the fact that the antagonist is it? I think it's a Carnosaurus, and then like you're looking for the Iguanodon, which is the dinosaur who's like the protagonist of the movie Dinosaur. But other than that, there's nothing really tying it to the movie, because like the premise of the ride is like you go back in time to pick up an Iguanodon because this guy wants to study Iguanodons or some shit, And so like I said, I had been on the ride before, but dude, I don't remember the ride being as crazy as it was. Like I went on the ride and dude, they're like throwing you around. You got like dinosaurs coming out of the woodworks, just like roaring in your face, and you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on? It was like crazy ass shit. But it was awesome. It was an awesome ride. I don't like when we went on, it was like a walk-on ride. And like it was, I don't know, it was like 10 or 11. And I'm like, dude, how is this ride like not popping, Talk about a thrill ride, dude. This ride is crazy. It was more crazy and intense than Everest. I'm like, how's this ride not going? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like that ride was awesome. Like I said, what other rides are at Animal Kingdom or even shows? Like, what did we do? That might have been it, honestly. I don't think there's much left at the Animal Kingdom, But it was still really cool. We spent the whole day there. So we went to Hollywood Studios, right? One of the things that they have at Galaxy's Edge, which was actually like the number one thing I want to do. Okay. A lot of people would probably be like, oh, my number one thing is I want to ride Rise. But no, my thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to build your own lightsaber. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. And so like I had seen videos of people doing this build your own lightsaber thing. And like everyone just like walks up and they just like do it, right? They go up, they say, hey, I want to do this thing. They pay for it, because obviously it's not free. You pay for it and then you do it, right? And like the day before we leave to go on this trip, right? I read somewhere that you have to make a reservation for this build your own lightsaber thing. And I'm like, pause. You have to do what? And they're like, and reservations open 60 days in advance from like the day you plan on going, right? And I'm like, no. There's no way this is happening to me, right? And so like I go to make a reservation for this thing and it's like, oh, there's no more reservations available. And I'm like, what? There's no more. And I was like, great. So the one thing I wanted to do at Hollywood Studios, I can't even do because there's no reservations available. And so I'm like, okay, so the day we go to Hollywood Studios, I'll just like go up to the people and be like, hey, is there any way that like I could, sneak on, and do this thing or whatever? Or see if I could be added to some like standby list, like in case someone cancels and shit. So like we go to Hollywood Studios, we go up to the people who do the build your own lightsaber thing. And like, I tell them what's up and they're like, well, there is a virtual standby line in case someone cancels, but that line is full as well. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, but you could check back every once in a while throughout the day to see if there's anything available. And I'm like, that's so stupid, to do that because like if you have a full standby list, the first people you would be going to would be the people on the standby list. So like, why on earth would you like take somebody who just walks up who's not on the standby list? You know what I mean? Because like if somebody did cancel and I walked up and say, hey, did someone cancel? Can I join? They're like, yeah, someone did cancel, but the spot's going to the person on the standby list, you know? So you're shit out of luck. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I totally thought I was like, I wasn't going to be able to do this build your own lightsaber thing, you know? But I thought, I'm like, you know what? If we ever come back to Galaxy's Edge throughout the day, like, I'll just check, just for the hell of it, right? Just to see what happens. And so, like, we did Rise first thing in the morning, and we did some other stuff, and we ended up coming back to Galaxy's Edge to do something. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, we went back real quick because we wanted to just, like, look around, I guess. And then I checked back, and they're like, nope, nothing available. And I was like, okay, cool. We did some other stuff. And then when we came back to ride Smuggler's Run, before we went on the ride, I checked, still nothing. We went on the ride, got off, checked again, still nothing. And, like, I totally wasn't expecting there to be anything. You know what I mean? I was like, because like I said, they had a full virtual line, So why on earth would they come to me? Or, like, why would they let me on if they have people in this virtual line that got there before me? It's, like, more fair to give it to these people who got in line before me, right? And also, like, the only way to get on this virtual queue is to, like, talk to them. Like, you can't just, like, do it through online. Like, you have to go up to them and say, can I be added to this virtual queue? But anyways, yeah, we did some other stuff, and, like, we had dinner at the Sci-Fi Drive-In, which I'm so glad that thing is still there. That's, like, my favorite restaurant. If you haven't been to the Sci-Fi Drive-In, it's this restaurant which is supposed to feel like a 1950s drive-in movie theater, right? So they have, like, it looks like you're outside even though you're in a building, but it looks like you're outside, and they got, like, this big movie screen playing a bunch of, like, old trailers and shit and clips from, like, 1950s horror movies and sci-fi movies and stuff like that. And your table is essentially like a 1950s car, right? They have, like, booths, and you sit, and so it's like you're in a 1950s car watching the movie, like a 1950s drive-in theater, right? My favorite restaurant ever, So, like, after we ate there, like really late at night. Like, it was like 8:30 when we ate, and the park was closing at 9. And so when we got out of the restaurant, the park was essentially closed, right? So there was, like, no one in the park, and so we're like, hey, how about we go back to Galaxy's Edge and take some pictures? Because, like, we hadn't been able to take pictures before, just before, we hadn't been able to take photos. So we went back to Galaxy's Edge, and we took some photos, and on the way out, because there's no one in this area, and on our way out, we passed by the Build Your Own Lightsaber area, and I see there's, like, cast members still, like, checking off people to get into this thing, and there's people waiting in line to do the Build Your Own Lightsaber thing. And I'm like, okay, but it's like 9:30, Like, there's no way they're still doing this, right? So I figured, might as well check, what's the harm in checking? So, like, I walk up, and I'm like, hey, are you guys still doing the Build Your Own Lightsaber thing? And they're like, yeah, this is, like, the last group, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, do you have any openings, just to see if I could sneak in? And they're like, no, this thing is full. Well, actually, the lady was like, well, let me check. And she checked, and she's like, no, there's nothing available. And she said, are you coming back tomorrow? And, like, the next day was Animal Kingdom. And I wasn't expecting coming back to Hollywood Studios the next day because, I didn't know what was going to happen. We kind of thought maybe we would finish Animal Kingdom early. But at the same time, we're like, we might stay there the whole day depending on what happens. But anyway, so I was like, I don't know. We might be coming back tomorrow. And she's like, well, if you do, make sure you come right in the morning, and we'll get you on the virtual line. And I was like, okay, cool. And I left, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way that's happening because, we have to rope drop Avatar. So I'm like, this trip, I'm just not going to be able to make my own lightsaber, And so we went to Animal Kingdom, and we low-key finished early. I think, so Hollywood Studios was closing that day at, like, 10 or something like that. And I think the Animal Kingdom closed at 8. And so like we stayed there until 8, and we're like, how about we just go over to Hollywood Studios, right? Just to see if we could do this lightsaber thing. So we went in, and also we also wanted to check out the bar, the cantina, because we hadn't been able to go there. And so, we go back, and we go all the way to Galaxy's Edge, and I go up to the lightsaber place, and I was like, hey, do you have any positions open, right? Do you have any spots open? And the guy's like, no, not for this group. He said, but I can add you to the virtual queue. And I was like, well, thank God it's not full. Still, I guarantee I'm not going to make it. But I just said, yeah, sure, whatever. And so he's like, okay, so the last group is going to go in at like 10:30 or whatever it was, He said, are you prepared to wait that long? Because they're like, if a spot opens, we text you, right? And then you have to respond within 10 minutes that you'll be there, or else they give that spot to someone else. And they're like, are you prepared to stay in this park until 10:30? And I was like, yeah, I guess, I got nothing else planned. So I get added to the virtual queue, and we decide, while we wait for potentially getting in this lightsaber thing, how about we go to the cantina? So we go to the cantina. That place was popping, We got some drinks there. I got like this. We got this thing called like Bespin Fizz, and this shit was bubbling like crazy. Like they bring the drink over, and it's like this red drink, and it's like bubbling like it's boiling, but it's ice cold. So I think they had like a bit of dry ice at the very bottom of the glass. It was like causing it to bubble. I can only assume. But yeah, that drink went crazy. And they had some like other drinks available that came in like, some of them came in like souvenir glasses. The cantina looked amazing, in my opinion. Like it really looked like it was in Star Wars. I will give them props. Galaxy's Edge does look really cool. I just miss the old shit more, But anyways, and while we're drinking, right, I get this text that says, oh, we have a position open. We'll hold your spot for 40 minutes, right? And I was like, oh, shit. So if I text right now that I'll be there, I have 40 minutes until they give my spot to someone else, so I can at least finish up this drink, right? And so I say, like, yeah, I'll be there. And I was going crazy. I was like, I'm going to be able to make this lightsaber thing. And so I finish my drink, and I go over, and I get signed up. And what was really crazy was that like the lady who had like who had helped me like the night before, like when we checked in like at 9:30 after the park had closed, and she's like, oh, you had to come back really early. So I go to her to like check in for this thing, and somehow she remembered me, and she's like, I'm so happy that you're finally able to do this. And I was like, yeah, same here. You know what I mean? And then the weirdest part was that when I went up to the guy to pay for this thing, and also like you have to pick out the pieces that you want, because they have like different categories that have a certain number of pieces in it that you build your lightsaber from. So you had to go up to this guy to pay and also choose your kit or whatever. And when I went up there, he's like, what's your name? And I was like, Jay Lyons. And he's like, oh, I thought it was you. And I'm like, dog, I ain't never met you before. And then he's like, you've had quite the journey to get here, haven't you? And I'm like, I don't even know you. Who are you? And I started thinking, like, yo, are these people like, are these people talking about me in their break room because I came back so often the day before to do this lightsaber thing? They must have been like, yo, there's like this weirdo just like keep coming back asking to build a lightsaber. But yeah, that was really weird. But yeah, I managed to build my own lightsaber. And I mean, that shit was fire. My lightsaber's fire. You get to pick what color lightsaber you want, and I picked purple, Samuel Jackson, purple lightsaber, purple gang for life. So like that was awesome. And then yeah, the last day was the Magic Kingdom. And dude, the Magic Kingdom, that day it was so cold, and not temperature wise, because it was like the low 50s, I think, when we went. But the part that made it really cold was the wind. The wind was howling that day. And I hadn't packed a sweatshirt or anything like that. I packed like a light windbreaker jacket because I because before we went, it was only supposed to be like in the high 60s on the day for the Magic Kingdom, and that was gonna be the coldest day. So I'm like, I don't need no damn sweatshirt, you know. And so I went to the Magic Kingdom, and dude, it was so fucking cold. It was so cold. And but as the day went on, about midday when the sun was out, it was a little bit warmer, and I was able to take off my jacket, and I was able to withstand the cold. But then when it got to night, like, dude, I was dying. I was seriously thinking about buying a sweatshirt, but I'm like, I'm not paying no overpriced $70 for some Disney sweatshirt, because you know that's how much Disney sweatshirts are, like $70. Like, everything at Disney is fucking overpriced. Okay. But yeah, so I just I just took it, dude. I'm like, I'm gonna die of like hypothermia, but screw it. I'm not paying $70 for a sweatshirt. We went on like Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is like a roller coaster, an outdoor roller coaster, twice at night. And dude, that, oh my god, dude, like I'm not even kidding. My entire body went numb from the cold. I'm like, it was just way too cold. Anyways, yeah, we got to do almost everything at the Magic Kingdom. The only thing that we didn't get to do that I wanted to do was Tom Sawyer's Island. I'm honestly kind of pissed we didn't get to do that, because I really wanted to go there. That's like one of my favorite places at Magic Kingdom. But like, we got to do everything else. You know, we got to do Tiki Room, which is like one of my favorite shows. You know, Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Peter Pan, Small World, People Mover, which is one of my favorite rides of all time. Space Mountain, of course. You know, it was just like, I love the Magic Kingdom, you know, but it was way too packed. And I know it was it the 23rd? Yeah. No, I think it was the 22nd that we went. I know it was really close to Christmas, but you know, like, it was just way too packed. They had like this fireworks show in front of the castle. Dude, it was so packed. Like, we had to stand all the way at like the main entrance of the park, like all the way down Main Street. If you know how Disney is set up, right? You got like the castle that's like right in the middle of the entire park, right? And then you have a main walkway that goes straight from the entrance of the park straight to the castle, right? And the castle has this huge center courtyard area in front of it, right? That entire courtyard area was filled, and the entire Main Street was filled. That's how many fucking people were there. And there was still a shit ton of people walking around the park while the fireworks were going on. So that wasn't even everyone at the park watching these fireworks. That was just part of it. It's probably most, but still, I couldn't believe it. It's like, dude, this is way too many people. Not to mention, like, it was way too many people for the current times that we're in. But not even that. Like, that would be way too many people for just like, for like a normal day. You know, that was just it was way too many people. And like, dude, like we're watching the fireworks show, and like they got some like light show going on in the castle too, where they're showing like scenes from like Disney movies. And there was like these girls next to us, right? And they were freaking out at like, and like, they were girls my age, right? Dude, they were like mid-20s, okay? They were freaking out at like everything, right? Cars would show up on the castle. They'd scream and go like, oh my God, it's Cars, right? Coco comes on. Oh my God, it's Coco. Toy Story. Oh my God, it's Toy Story. You know, the entire time. They're like freaking out. And then the craziest part was that when Frozen 2 came on, one girl actually started weeping. She started crying. Like, not just a little bit, not just like small tears. Like, she was crying excessively. And I'm like, dude, it's a fucking fireworks show. You know? Like, what are you crying about? It's just Frozen 2. I've never seen Frozen 2. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's like a really emotional movie. But like, I don't know. I was just like, dude, why are you crying? You know? But anyways, yeah, so we saw the fireworks show. That was pretty cool. We did some more last minute rides before the park closed. I mean, what else? There was something else that I want. Oh, yeah. So I think it was the day we went to the Animal Kingdom. and after we did the lightsaber thing, at Disney, they just opened this new bar, which is an extremely popular bar over at California, and it's called Trader Sam's, right? And they just opened it up recently. It's a small, like, I'm talking tiny, like this is bedroom size room, okay? Tiny bar, okay? And it's at the Polynesian Resort, and it's like, it's almost like a tiki room type of vibe. You know, it's supposed to feel like you're, in Polynesia, sort of. And they got like, they obviously they have a shit ton of drinks, and every drink has like a show, so to speak, that goes along with it. And so, like the drink I ordered, which was, one of the more expensive drinks, but I mean, it was totally worth it. It was called the Nautilus, which is from the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The Nautilus is the submarine. And so, like, when you order it, they bring it out, and it comes in a souvenir cup, but this isn't a cup, okay? This shit was like a gravy boat. I'm not even kidding. It was this huge, like, centerpiece thing, right? That was all hollowed out. I think it's meant for 2 people, but I didn't know that, so I just ordered it for myself. And, like, they bring it out in, like, this gravy boat thing, and they played some like soundtrack or some like audio clip from the movie, and like they're like shooting water guns and stuff like that. You're supposed to be like diving underwater and all that shit. It was really cool. And the drink, oh my god, it was so good. Like, I had one sip of that and I'm like, dude, this is dangerous. You know what I mean? Like it because like usually, like, when you get like an alcoholic drink, like, you could taste the alcohol, right? And like, I know some people, like, they chug that shit, but like the taste of alcohol kind of helps you limit the amount you consume in like one sip. You know what I mean? But this drink was dangerous. Like, you couldn't taste the alcohol at all. Like, it tasted like a sweet, fruity drink, and it was just so good. I just want to sit there and just drink the whole thing in one sitting, but I had to keep telling myself, dude, there's like 10 different things of alcohol in this thing. It's like 20 different shots or something. Like, I'm reading the menu of like the ingredients. Like, the ingredients of this drink was like a paragraph. Like, everything else is just like, oh, it's like Bacardi, some mint leaves, and then like grenadine or something like that. I don't even know if that's a real drink, but I'm just making shit up. But it was just like, it would be like 3 things, right? This drink had like, I'm not even kidding, it had like 10 different alcohols in it. And I'm like, I had to keep reminding myself when I'm drinking this thing, I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be meant for 2 people, okay? Because the drink came out with 2 straws, okay? This drink is meant for 2 people, okay? There's a shit ton of alcohol in here. I need to be careful how much I'm drinking in one sitting. But anyways, it was really good. We had to share this table with another group of people because the only way for us to get in was we had to sit at like the bigger table that they had in this bar area, because they had like some like 2-seater and some like 4-seater tables, but they had like this one that's meant for like a group of like 10 or something like that. And so we had to share it with another group because obviously I didn't have 10 people, and they were pretty chill. They got the Nautilus too, but they got the Nautilus to share. They also had like their own individual drinks, but they had the Nautilus to share. And I was just like, I was so dead because they brought out both of our Nautilus drinks at the same time, and they put mine in front of me, and they're like, is that for all you guys? And I'm like, no, this is this is just for me. And they're like, damn. And I'm like, yeah, I know how to drink. But yeah, I mean, that place was awesome. I was honestly surprised that we got a spot because I had talked to a buddy of mine. He lives out in California, and he was telling me the story of how they tried to get into Trader Sam's over in California, and it was like a 3-hour wait. And I was like, and like I think the bar opens at like 6, at least in California. It's probably the same over here in Florida, but yeah, like we got there at like, I don't even know, like it was probably like 9:45, 10 o'clock or something like that when we got to this bar. And the guy's like, oh, it's only gonna be like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy, the week of Christmas, and this place is usually 3 hours, and this was like 3 hours. My buddy, he went to his Trader Sam's. It was like summer, which I know summer's like a big travel time, but I think it was like around the August time. So it's like that's when it kind of dies down because people are getting ready to go back to school and shit like that. So like, I'm like, dude, week of Christmas, we're here like 3 hours late. I know that this place is gonna be packed, but no, the guy's like 15, 20 minutes. And so I encourage anybody who's like going to Disney, like not even just like going to Disney, but who wants to go to, because like it's not in one of the parks, right? It's at one of the hotels. So you could totally just like go there whenever you want and not actually have a pass. But if you have the opportunity, definitely go. That place was pretty cool. I honestly want to go back, but being Disney and being alcohol and being a very popular place with exclusive shows and all that stuff, the drinks are pretty expensive. Okay. So like, be prepared for your wallet to take a big hit. This ain't no like $5 drinks. Okay. Like, I don't even want to say the price of this Nautilus drink. Like, it was crazy. And you could have bought the gravy boat that it came in. You could have bought that as well, but I decided not to, because I'm like, dude, I have no use for this, like, it's not like I'll be sitting down for dinner. I'm like, hold up, let me get some water and fucking fill up my Nautilus gravy boat, and like, that's just not something that I would do. So I'm like, I have no use for it. It was an awesome glass, because I don't know if I said this, but the gravy boat was shaped like the Nautilus. Like, it was like the cup was the Nautilus. It was the submarine. And so it was really cool, because I think the Nautilus is a really cool boat. 20,000 Leagues is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. So also at Epcot, being the Christmas season, they have this thing that they have. It's called like Candlelight Processional. And so we went to see that because apparently I had seen it before, but I don't remember seeing it, like, because like I must have seen it when I was a little kid. So like I was hyped to see it this time. And the guy who was, because like they have like a celebrity narrator that comes in, and so the guy who was supposed to be doing it like the night that we were going was supposed to be this guy from a movie called Hunt for Red October, and he was like the sonar guy who finds the Red October, the submarine. It's an old movie. It's kind of like an obscure movie, so like I don't blame you if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I was really hyped to see it because Hunt for Red October is a really good movie. I love watching it, and so I was hyped to see this guy. But something happened where like they switched it, and so we got like this lady who had been on SNL. I feel like I'd seen her before, but I don't remember. But like she was pretty good. She was a comedian, and so like she had some jokes at the beginning and the end and all that stuff, and so she was a great narrator. But like I said, I do wish I had that guy from Hunt for Red October, because that's a good movie. But yeah, that's another thing. If you ever go to Epcot, especially during Christmas, actually only during Christmas, make sure to do the Candlelight Processional, because it's a great thing. And do like the dinner package, lunch/dinner package, because that's what we did, because that gives you like a guaranteed spot at the Candlelight Processional, and it's a very popular thing. So like getting in that standby line, you're probably not going to get a spot, unless you're there like 3 hours before the show starts, which, I mean, if that's like your whole, if that's your whole reasoning for going to Epcot, then I guess, yeah, cool, stand for 3 hours. But, that's not me. So we did like the dinner package, and like you get to pick a restaurant and like a time and all that stuff. And, they say that you get a appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. So, and it's like a set price, so it's not like you just like pick a restaurant or whatever, and it's just a reservation and all that stuff. Like it's a set price, and you're guaranteed a 3-course meal, right? So we did a dinner package, and we decided to eat at the Coral Reef, which once again, apparently I had eaten there. I don't remember. I didn't even realize, because it's at the Living Seas Pavilion. I don't remember there being a restaurant there, but we went there, and that was a great restaurant, small. And like since it's at the Living Seas and it's about the ocean, like one whole wall is like just glass, and it's like right into the aquarium, like the huge ass aquariums that they have over there. And so you get to see like fish and sharks and dolphins and all that shit. So like that was really cool. Oh, and then when we were at the Magic Kingdom, we managed to get a spot at the Be Our Guest restaurant, which one of like the coolest restaurants ever. Like in terms of if like looking for a fancy restaurant. Like I know I said that Sci-Fi Dine-In is like my favorite restaurant, which it is, but like in terms of like fancy, like if you like I'm talking like if you want to go on like a really fancy dinner, you know, you want to take your significant other, you know, to a nice restaurant, and I mean you have to buy a ticket to go into the Magic Kingdom, so that's going to add to the price. But like the Be Our Guest restaurant is like, I mean it was an awesome place. Like it's based off Beauty and the Beast, and so like it's and like you eat in like the ballroom, you know, from the movie, and it was just beautiful. And like the steak there, oh my god, the filet mignon, like dude, that was amazing. You know, like the shit cut like butter. That's how good the steak was, you know? It wasn't tough at all. Granted, depending on the type of steak you get. I usually get medium rare, you know, when it comes to steak. There's like, I thought like at a certain point, like I get when you're younger or something like that, like you would want to get well done because, you know, that just sounds better, sounds healthier, you know? Because it's like well done. But like as you get older, you realize well done in terms of steak is not good, you know, because that shit is tough, you know? But dude, I went to a steakhouse for a friend's birthday, and like some people there, they were like, we want our steak well done. And I'm like, what? Why? Are you insane? And they're like, it's good this way. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then when my steak came out, I had medium rare, and I'm like, dude, this is the way to go. And they're like, no, well done's the way to go. I was like, dude, how about you try it? Okay? Prove me wrong. And they tried it, and they're like, you know what? You're right. Medium rare is better. And I'm like, you see? You out here chewing for like 20 minutes on like a little bite, you know? And I'm already done with my steak. I don't know. It's just like, I don't understand people who get well done, at least when it comes to steak. Burgers, okay, I get that. I get medium when it comes to burgers, but you know, I get that people want well done. But steaks, no, I don't even know why well done is even on the market for steaks. Like they shouldn't even offer that, you know? Anyways, yeah, Be Our Guest was awesome. Appetizer, I got French onion soup, one of my favorite appetizers on the planet. Okay, I get it all the time on cruise ships. Like they offer like French onion soup like every night, and I always get that, you know, on a cruise ship every single night. I get French onion soup along with some other appetizers that are also good. But French onion soup, dude, I mean, come on, there's nothing better. But yeah, also when we were at the Coral Reef for my appetizer, I got lobster bisque. Ooh, it was so good. That place knows how to make lobster bisque. Back to Be Our Guest. Dessert, I got the gray stuff, okay? The gray stuff is delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes, you know? I've had the gray stuff before, back in high school. Like, our school would have prom and shit at Disney resorts. And so, you know, obviously Disney would be the ones making the food and stuff like that. So, like, for dessert, at the dessert table, they had the gray stuff. I think it was like my senior year of prom. And dude, I took like 5 of those shits home because I was like, this is way too good. And so got it again at the Be Our Guest. Just as good as I remember it. Man, what other stuff do I need to talk about? Like when we were at Disney, they had Irish coffee, you know? If you don't know what that is, that's coffee with Bailey's Irish cream in it. That's alcohol for people who don't know. So yeah, they had a peppermint mocha latte at at like all the coffees places, because they had like Joffrey's coffee or whatever. I've never heard of this place, but they have it all over Disney. So yeah, I saw that for the holiday season they had peppermint mocha lattes, and they said under it they're like, oh, you can add Irish cream. You can add like other alcohols if you want, but you can add Irish cream, Bailey's Irish cream. And I was like, yo, put some of that shit in my drink. First time I got a double shot, which I mean it was fine. Like but you know, it was a little overpowering, the coffee, and I really wanted to taste the peppermint mocha latte. But so the second time we got coffee, not on the same day. Okay, we had a different day. I got one shot and it was better, you know, because like you couldn't really taste the Baileys. Like obviously you had the Irish cream taste, but it wasn't like overpowering the coffee or anything like that. So that was good. Man, what other drinks did we have? Oh, they still had Oktoberfest when I went to Epcot, because before the Candlelight Processional, because we went to the Coral Reef for lunch, and so before Candlelight, we wanted to get some food, like some dinner, because you know it's like late at night, and so we go to the American Pavilion, and we go to the barbecue place, and they had Sam Adams Oktoberfest. They still had it, and I was like, it was like the only beer they had because, you know, it's America. Sam Adams. And so I tried it. It was pretty good. Not going to lie. We went to Rainforest one night and they had Sam Adams, but they had the Winterfest, if that's what it's even called. I tried it. Wasn't as good as Oktoberfest, I got to say. Oktoberfest was much better. Winter, I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but it was still pretty good. Rainforest Cafe, still love that place. Still one of my favorite restaurants. Still, Sci-Fi is my all-time favorite, but love Rainforest Cafe. What else, man? What else? Oh, something that I said I was going to get more into when I talked about Disney was when it came to decorations. You know, I don't know if it's just because when I was a kid, I mentioned the Osborne family lights, but I don't know if it's just because I was a kid, it just seemed like there was more Christmas decorations, or there was more of a Christmas vibe to the parks. But like I went back and it's like most of the parks weren't even decorated, you know? Like, I mean, Main Street was decorated for the Magic Kingdom. And of course they had the Christmas themed Jungle Cruise, even though there wasn't a whole lot of Christmas stuff to it, really. Like it was really just like the boat itself and then like the line queue. But for whatever reason, I remember before they would like, you know, put Christmas hats on like the animatronics and all that stuff, but they didn't do that, you know, and the rest of the park like wasn't even decorated for Christmas. They usually do a Christmas makeover for a Country Bear Jamboree. They didn't even have that. It was like the normal show, which, you know, is always welcome. I love the Country Bear Jamboree, but like I was really looking forward to seeing the Christmas one, you know, and like Hollywood Studios, you know, it was just like the main street was decorated. That was it. Animal Kingdom, they just had like a Christmas tree out front, and like that was it. There was like no other Christmas decorations, and like the same thing with Epcot, except theirs was like in the middle of the park. They had a Christmas tree, but other than that, there was nothing else decorated. And I'm just like I said, I don't know if it's just because I was a kid, and so it seemed like more of it was decorated, but like it just seemed like it was normal park shit. You know, there was nothing Christmassy about it, and I don't know if that has anything to do with, you know, Disney losing money during the pandemic or anything like that. But it's like, dude, I feel like low-key you probably would make more money if you had more Christmas shit going down. You know what I mean? Because people would be like, oh, it's really decked out for Christmas, you know? I don't know. But yeah. Got some hot chocolate one night. Disney hot chocolate was really good. Got to have the Disney pizza again, which was one of my favorite foods as a kid. Because you know, kids, when you go to Disney, like all they want to eat is chicken tenders and pizza, you know. And so like I loved the pizza as a kid. So like I got the pizza again, and dude, it was just as good as I remember. I remember a buddy of mine. I was talking about how like we were talking about Disney, and I was saying how much I love the pizza, and he's like, dude, the pizza sucks at Disney. And I'm like, I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon? What? The pizza is like one of the best foods that Disney has, you know, in terms of like fast food type foods, you know, like how could you even, what? But yeah, I got the pizza one day, and then we also, you know, we had to get the chicken tenders again one night, so we got that. And yeah, I mean, overall, it was a pretty good trip. You know, I missed Disney. Once again, like Hollywood Studios just wasn't what I remembered it. It just wasn't as good. I'm sorry, but Disney, you really fucked over that park, in my opinion. Because like it's not even really about the magic of making movies anymore. Like that was the whole point of the park, and like you kind of got rid of that. But you know, other than that, it was pretty good. You know, it was a pretty good trip. I had fun. Then Christmas came. Christmas was awesome. Once again, I hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you guys didn't just like decide to go back to normal after Christmas ends, you know? We're still sort of in that Christmas vibe, you know? But also we got to prepare for New Year's and all the partying we're going to do on New Year's. After New Year's, then you can kind of start toning down the Christmas shit because, you know, it's over. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Lion on Main. I've been your host, Jay Lyons. Whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review on Apple Podcast. If you don't want to write a review, just at least give me 5 stars, because that really helps me out. And also, Spotify just added a rating system, so make sure to give me 5 stars on that as well. Help me get introduced to new people, you know? Help me with that algorithm shit that people keep talking about. But yeah, follow me on social media at RealJLions and at Lion on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Love you. I don't know. Do I?